Today on Okie Woodsman, we're going to explain what battery you should use for what tool. What do all the numbers mean? 8 amp hour, 2 amp hour. What does it mean? You might have questions. I've got answers and I'll show you. That's incredible. And also explain the difference between these high output batteries that every manufacturer seems to be making nowadays. Come with me and I'll show you. We're going to bore holes. We're going to drive fasteners. And we are going to cross cut and rip cut using different batteries with a few various tools. And I'm going to go ahead and show you why you might pick a different battery over another. First, we're going to be running the 1.5 amp hour battery lithium ion. We're going to just do a ripping cut and see what it does here. Stopped. 2 amp hour battery. We'll go ahead and do another ripping cut, see where it stops. Oh, that went further than I thought. We're going to retest the 2 amp hour because it went further than I thought. And we're going to retest the 4 and we're going to go ahead and do the 8. Okay. So what we did is we went ahead and doubled our stock. We will not be cutting all the way through. That's going to be quite a load on this. Let's see what happens. Now I'm going to be careful not to hit where I've already sawed. And 2 amp hour, here we go. Okay, 2 amp hour quit there. If you kind of heard it starting to do like a pulsating type thing. Did really well though, considering that was fully buried. 4 amp hour. Let's do it. I think that was going to go all the way through, everyone. But I was kind of having to baby it. I couldn't push it. 4 amp hour right there. Now the big 8 amp hour. Should be a difference here. Let's see if we can tell. We're going to do a series of cross cuts here. I'm just going to go fast. Let's see what happens. I'm going to start off with the 1.5 amp hour battery. This is going to go all the way through, so we're going to see how this goes. Okay, I was shoving that saw through. I could have probably gone a little slower. Let's see what happens. Okay, you can cut across 1.5 amp hour battery. Do it with the 2 amp hour. No problem at all. I'm going to push a little faster here. No problem. 4 amp hour. Now, what that's doing actually is it's binding, and the saw, I believe, is doing an anti-kickback protection, I believe. That's incredible. Incredible. Let me go back to this 1.5 just so we can kind of compare the difference here. Okay, same saw. Let me go with this 4 amp hour. Remember, this battery's about 5 years old. This is not considered a max output battery. I'll explain here what that means. Okay, that did really well. Really well. Okay, remember, this is the compact rigid circular saw. This is the small one. Considering how good these tools are nowadays, this is Rigid's subcompact impact. Okay, we're gonna drive these bad boys right here. It says 7 by 100 on them, larger than a deck screw, construction screw, or anything like that. So self-tapping, you don't have to drill them, kind of in place of a lag from what I understand. Anyway, right here, these will, I expect this battery to fully drive these no problem at all. I think what we're gonna see here is a difference in speed. All right, we're gonna do 1.5 amp hour. We're gonna do 2 amp hour, 4 amp hour, and 8 amp hour. Let's see let's see what they look like. We're gonna drive the screws using 1.5 amp hour, 2 amp hour, 4 amp hour, and 8. Let's see if we can tell the difference here. All right. Does it just fine? Let's see what happens if I use the battery that came with the impact. Two amp hour did well. Let's go ahead and grab the 4 amp hour. This came on my Gen 5X brushless tools. Let's see if this appears to do it any different, better, faster, slower, anything. Okay, and now we'll go ahead and do the 8 amp hour. A battery that I don't think Rigid ever intended on being on this particular tool. So let's see what happens here. Top of that, messed up. All right, here. Let's see how this one goes. Okay, 8 amp hour. Now, what we're gonna do here is, because all Rigid batteries work on across the board with all tools, this is gonna be a Gen 5X Rigid tool. That originally was paired with this 4 amp hour battery right there from Rigid. This battery here is, again, about 5 years old. So it's still going strong. Built a lot of my house with it. There we are. I like the belt clips. Kind of handy, can hang it. All right, 1.5 amp hour. And there's that screw again with the weird head. 1.5, let's give it a shot. And that is on mode 3, everyone. That's the fastest this one will do. All right, we're gonna go 2 amp hour. Four amp hour. These are GRK fasteners. All right, and let's do the 8 amp hour. I think what we're going to show here is that an impact, my assumption is that an impact will do what we need it to do. All right. All right, so you can see all these worked no problem at all. Now we're going to bore some holes with a drill. We're going to bore some holes. We're going to start off with this self-feeding 3/8 drive. I'm sorry, I think it's 5/8. We're going to do that. We're going to go with a 1-inch paddle bit, and we're going to do a 1-inch bore. Now, I did just touch this up with a file. I've never done that before. This has hit screws and stuff, so we'll see kind of what the difference is. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to run these I'm going to run these 2 drills in gear 2 initially just to see how well they do. See if I can bury it in there. So 1.5 amp hour battery. Let's see what happens. Alrighty, here, let's do 1.5 amp hours again on gear 2. Let's see what happens. Okay, that's it. Now, batteries have thermal protection built in, okay? They know when they've been pushed too hard. Okay, now, of course, this is not a hole you want to drill in second gear. It'd be best to go ahead and do it in first gear, slow, okay? Yeah, that battery, those batteries are in, I believe, thermal protection there. I'm gonna go in gear 2. This is 2 amp hour. Look at that. Okay, I'm gonna go to gear 2 to get it out, or I'm sorry, gear 1 to go ahead and get that out. This is quite an impressive tool here, everyone. This is a subcompact drill. This is like, to me, this is where I'd start with rigid if you're on a budget. Absolutely. I mean, this is so nice. They even have a hammer drill version of this. I currently don't own one. 4 amp hour, 5-year-old battery. See what happens. This is gear 2. Let's see what happens on this big 8 amp hour battery. I'm just curious here. Let's see. 1.5 amp hour battery. Here we go. Let me go to 2 here. Let me see what happens, because this isn't gonna self-feed like the other one. Speed 2. Okay, so speed 2 got in there pretty far. Pretty much the whole bit, I would say. So we're gonna go speed 2 on this paddle bit with the 2 amp hour battery. Okay, it stopped. That was speed 2, everyone. 4 amp hour battery. 5 years old. Oh, that stopped. Okay, so the 2 amp hour newer battery did a little bit better. Let's see what happens with the 8 amp hour battery. Speed 2, old drill, or new subcompact. Okay, I stopped all the way down in that hole. And I was pushing hard, everyone. I was pushing way hard. Let's see if I can get this back out. Look how far that went down there. One shot. I wasn't clearing chips or anything. Okay, this is a subcompact tool. This is not considered a high power tool. We may just honestly test with this subcompact because it's darn near impressive here. Let's see what happens with the self-feeding bit. We're gonna go on gear 1 and see if this thing will just bury itself. 8 amp hours, here we go. That's it. Well, that's gonna be a tough booger to get out. Wow. There it is. That was a lot of wood in there, y'all. 8 amp hour battery was a machine. It's still showing full, by the way. Look at this. This is crazy. I mean, I buried that thing all the way in. That's on speed 1. Okay, 4 amp hour battery. Speed 1. I'm pushing as hard as I can, everyone. That's gonna go all the way. Now, when you're doing this, you should clear your chips. I've basically created a compacted mess. Wow, that was a big tight wad. So that's the crazy thing about these tools, everyone. Without clearing chips, this thing's boring, augering all the way in to this solid piece of pine here. That's insane. Again, when I say clearing chips, what you really ought to do is something more like this. Get the chips out, pull them out, pull them out. Okay, see that? 2 amp hour. See what happens if I just bury it the way you shouldn't do it. Boy, okay. I could do it more, but I don't want to make it that hard for me to pull out. There's a lot of compressed wood. 1.5 amp hours. That dug itself in just like it's supposed to. Some of you may have noticed that safety glasses stayed on top of my head the entire time. Unintentional. So I'm not gonna get to do all the tests that I initially planned on, and I don't honestly think I need to. Let's talk about some basics here as far as battery, what the numbers mean, okay? So I'm running out of light. That's why we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. 2 amp hour, 4 amp hour, 8 amp hour. Best way to look at this is like the fuel tank size, okay, on a vehicle. Just because you have a larger fuel tank doesn't mean you have more power, right? You can run a large, powerful engine off of a couple ounces of fuel for a short amount of time. You can run a highly fuel efficient vehicle off of 100 gallons for a very long amount of time. So think about the amp hours is the capacity, okay? That is, like I said, a fuel tank capacity. Now, one of the things that's slightly confusing is I mentioned that now they have high output batteries. All the companies have a high output version. Okay, there's a difference in the cells themselves. This is a max output battery. This battery, comparatively to this and this, let's first start here capacity wise. 8 amp hour, 4 amp hours. Theoretically, you could deplete 2 of these batteries before you depleted 1 of these. You could deplete 4 of these batteries before you completed, or at the same time as you deplete 1 of these, right? Now, the trade-off is this is extremely light. This came with the compact tools. This is a little heavier. Now, at the same time, it's not as heavy as you'd imagine. It's not 4 times heavier, right, for the capacity. But there's a size difference. If you're just gonna be driving deck screws, great battery, okay? Or if you're just doing a few cuts, you saw that those 2x6s with that brand new spider blade on it, it cut no problem at all. I have a feeling that if I would have used my older blade, I don't think it would have performed like it did. It honestly surprised me, everyone. That little subcompact circular saw is phenomenal, by the way. It's a great tool. Now, max output versus standard output. Let's do this right here. It's not just about capacity, everyone. This is able, let's view this not as the max output. Let's view this more like the quality of fuel, or maybe the fuel that that can generate more power or can be more explosive, okay? So there's 4 times, theoretically, 4 times more capacity in this than in this one. However, this can discharge at a faster rate, meaning that a high draw tool like a circular saw or a chainsaw, like you saw on my rigid chainsaw, can push real hard. You put a 1.5 amp hour battery on that chainsaw, you push on it. I do have footage of that. I'll throw it in here. Okay, what we're doing here is we're going to change the battery out. This is an 8 amp hour. This is a 1.5 amp hour. Okay, see that? Everyone, that's the battery, okay? The saw has plenty of power. I'm putting a really lightweight battery in it. Can you do limbs? Yes, you could. Can I cut through? Ah, look at that. Let's go ahead and throw that 8 amp hour in. This is the max output. This is important. Incredible. Totally different experience. It stops, okay? If you start pushing the circular saw through the cut, the 1.5 standard output battery stops. As cells get better with time, even these ones, you saw these ones discharge at a pretty good rate to be able to push that saw and auger those holes out really well. This battery did phenomenal. It's about a year old, about less than a year old. This is brand new. Now, again, it's the quality of the fuel. It's how fast it can discharge. So let's do a little quiz here. If you're going to be driving 100 deck screws, 3-inch deck screws, what battery do you think you'd use between these two? I would use this one, okay? If you're going to be cutting a whole bunch with a speed square, if you're going to be cutting a whole bunch of framing, okay, and you're going to be cutting as fast as you can go to keep guys busy, or you just want to make cuts, right? You don't want to have to wait. We're not talking about one cross cut. We're talking about doing a project. What battery are you going to choose on a circular saw? Right here. If you're cutting one copper pipe, okay, one small copper pipe, what are you going to want to use? With a reciprocating saw, I'd use this. If you're going to cut a 4x4 with a reciprocating saw repeatedly, as long as you could do that all day long, this battery is the battery you'd want to use. It has the ability to keep going harder and longer, okay? Great battery. Now, let's talk about a light. Be right back. This light has a lot of panels in it, right? There's a lot of LEDs in here. It'll run just fine, probably be comparatively equally bright between a 2 amp hour and the 8 amp hour battery. This is going to be about run time, okay? It's like a steady, constant draw. Both of these batteries work. And by the way, this light you can plug in with 110 too. I built my house with 2 of these, literally. We didn't have electricity for a long time. You can plug that in. But let's say you don't want to plug it in. You don't want to be changing batteries a lot. I would have loved to have had some of these big 8 amp hour packs. Okay, I did all that cutting right now, everybody. This is the same battery. I own one of these. That battery right there, fully charged with all that ripping. I have not topped this off. All that drilling, driving, it did great. I've still got full battery. This is what I run on that chainsaw. Now, this light here, this thing sucks the battery, let me tell you, okay? It sucks the battery. Now, it's dimmable. It's pretty cool. But I actually used to work in my shed with this light. I'd work in my shed and I had to rotate batteries out of it. That larger fuel tank and that 8 amp hour battery would be awesome for something like that. But again, if you're gonna go ahead, if you have a project where you're needing that light, okay, for a short time frame, and you're gonna be doing some extensive high draw activities, not drilling holes, not drilling small holes, not driving small screws, even those timber screws, this battery did well with. You want to think about what kind of batteries you're using. So don't get sucked into the marketing. You see some of these tools expressing how much they can do, okay? That has more to do with the battery nowadays than the actual tool. You saw that little tiny subcompact drill do awesome stuff. when it comes down to batteries, pick the battery. I like lightweight tools, okay? I'll be right back. What a great impact, everybody. This little subcompact, this is not a 12 volt tool, this is an 18 volt tool. It can run off of those, it can run off of that 8 amp hour battery, it can run off of my old 1.5 lithium ion batteries, it can run off, this is the battery that came with, it's nice and compact this way. This is the battery I'm gonna run on this because that's a lot of screws to drive. It is a ton. I can drill a lot of holes in gearbox 1 on that drill. I'm not gonna hang an 8 amp hour battery unless I'm augering big holes using a big hole saw with a handle on it, okay? I'm not gonna hang that 8 amp hour battery off of a drill generally. There'd be very few use cases. That's gonna be reserved for the chainsaw, a circular saw that can utilize the power like that subcompact circular saw. What an incredible tool here. I love left blade saws. This is what I wanted forever. Rigid made it. It's great. And it's just a phenomenal tool. I can run it off of any of my batteries, no problem at all. This will probably get the 8 amp hour battery on it. Doesn't add that much weight. And generally when I'm cutting with the circular saw, I got a lot of cuts, okay? If I'm just cutting like 4 things, I'll probably use like a 1.5 or 2 amp hour battery. But if I am gonna be cutting, like recently I helped build a pole barn for church. And I was the cut man, I was cutting everything and I did it all with this, all right? And I didn't have the 8 amp hour battery. My chargers were just running pretty consistently and I had all my batteries and I have quite a few. So I was just draining it down. 8 amp hour battery would have been awesome. I probably could have made, I'd estimate, I don't know how many battery packs of the 8 amp hour, but I would have been not swapping my battery out hardly in comparison. So if you have any questions, let me know. Hopefully this video is interesting to you. Hopefully it helps. This is applicable to every brand, not just Rigid. I love my Rigid tools. Another factor here is lifetime warranty on the batteries, everyone. Watch my video on the warranty. I have been sold on Rigid. I've been using them for 15 years. I believe in the tools. I am not a professional. I do not run my tools 40 hours a week, but I run my tools often. They get used consistently, okay, as a homeowner and building projects. So if you have any questions, let me know. I'll try to help. Anybody in the comment section, help out too. If I've said something wrong, misspoke, if I just said something blatantly wrong, like I don't have a good understanding, let me know as well. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing if you haven't. Give me a thumbs up and watch some more of my videos. Thank you. Bye.